Right, I'm here with James Casson, candidate for Mayor and Hamilton East for the elections 2019 in Hamilton. And might as well start off with the easy bit. Yeah, why should we vote for you? Why should we vote for you?
Well, you've got probably a few choices now. If people are happy with the way the city's going, they'll stay the status quo. They'll vote Andrew back in, or vote most of the councillors back in. If you want to go down the more green path, you'll go Louisa Hutt. Yeah. And if you want to go Andrew O'Leary, it may be a little bit back towards the Hardacre era. I'm not sure. But I just see myself as the point of difference. And, I'm back to the reason why I think people should vote for me is I'm a back to basics policy sort of guy. No more frivolous spending, $7 million buildings downtown here, that 90-odd% of the submissions we received were against that. Yeah. And the mayor used his casting vote to buy those. Okay. So they're sitting there and, $7 million to start with.
See, these are things that a lot of people aren't fully aware because they aren't engaged with council.
That's right. Yeah. No, we have a problem with engagement. Was it 33% last time voted? Yeah. Somewhere around there. Lowest in the country. I think, to be fair, the last council from 2016 to now have been probably the most visible. Yeah. And that's everybody. I think everybody's been very visible on Facebook, being out and about. Before I ran, before 2016, the only councillor I ever saw was Leo Tooman, and that was in the Target building in Tarapa buying a lounge suite when my wife and I were there. So that was the only time I saw a councillor. So not a lot of people in Hamilton can actually name. That's the difference between you and a lot of other people. You are politically engaged. You've got an interest. A lot of the people are more engaged, or way more engaged, in central politics. So when the election is next year, there's a lot more interest. People get out and vote because they think this really affects them. But actually, local government affects you as much because we're the ones that make the decisions right around the city here. So your rates increases, buying bloody buildings in town here, trying to do as little or as much as possible in Garden Place. You've got two different factions there.
Safety in Hamilton.
Safety, footpaths, roading, infrastructure, buildings, libraries, stadia, and everything else. So there's a lot of stuff we look after that.
You guys are also the people that we can have, in theory, have better contact with, because we've got 120-ish, I think it is, politicians sitting in Wellington, right? We would only, as Hamiltonians, would only really ever come in contact with about, at most, half a dozen of those directly.
Well, we're always around, and
with 12 councillors and a mayor in Hamilton, we can have more direct contact on a more regular basis if we choose to.
Well, 10 out of the 12 councillors live in Hamilton, so we're always around. We are local and got skin in the game, you could say. Because any decision we make affects us, affects our families, affects friends, and everything else. And I'll tell you, when we make a decision that's not popular, even your friends are on you, saying, "What?" So it's quite interesting. So you can never. In politics, it's the same as with when I was in the police. You can never please everybody all the time. Only some of the people some of the time. Yeah. You're always going to hack someone off.
So do you think you have to sort of make that decision as to what you think is right, or what you think is best based on the information you get in a council meeting, or from research the council have done that's given to the councillors when they're sitting in a meeting discussing something, rather than trying to please people? It's working out what's going to be best overall based on the general direction people want Hamilton to
go. Well, the biggest mistake you can probably make is to try and please everybody, because you're not going to please anybody then.
It's far easier to piss everyone off than please them.
If you're airy-fairy and yes, I agree to that, but I agree to that, and I agree to that, and I agree to that, you're not going to get anywhere.
No.
You're going to make unpopular decisions, but a lot of the time when it starts presented to us at council, we don't have all the information. Yeah. It's like climate change. So we're one of the few that didn't vote for a climate change emergency. We had reports come from council but we didn't have experts come in and talk to us about
Okay.
it. Nothing like that, you know. So
See, a lot of people would assume from the media that was just because you don't acknowledge, you're not acknowledging climate change.
Oh, well,
but in
yeah,
actual
yeah.
fact, from what you just said, it's more a case of you didn't have all the evidence in front of you from people who know what they're talking about.
No, you know, like, and I got contacted by different individuals saying either for or against climate change emergency, you see.
Yeah.
And some people send me a lot of stuff through saying you have to read this from both sides, you know, and
Okay.
you're trying to balance it up, and then you get council reports, and you know, I didn't vote for a climate emergency, but they said I was a climate denier. The thing is, I actually, at the beginning, if they actually go through YouTube and have a look at it, I started off with saying climate change is happening.
Yeah.
And it is happening. It's been happening since the day of the dinosaur right up to now, and it's cyclic, you know.
Yeah.
And
You can't deny the climate is changing.
Oh, the climate is changing. But
my best gauge is the fact that I haven't had to wear shoes on my bike all winter.
Oh, it's been a warm
I've been able to
winter.
ride around
Yeah.
in sandals, so it's been a warm winter.
It has been a warm winter. But the thing is, you know, with climate change, if you declare an emergency, there are certain things you have to do right there and then.
Yeah.
There's a financial impact on the city as well. The things we're doing now in Hamilton are way and above what any other city have done. So every other city that has declared a climate emergency, Dunedin, Auckland, and other places, they have done squat about it. They have declared an emergency, which is a feel-good thing, but they've done nothing about it. See, if you're going to declare an emergency, you have to do something about it straight away.
Well,
So-
you just look at any other situation where an emergency is declared on something, say an earthquake or a forest fire or something. When an emergency is declared, there's certain actions that have to be done immediately.
Yeah, it's like
regardless.
Christchurch with the earthquakes they had down there.
Yeah.
That was an emergency. They had to get something done straight away, you know. But we last year alone, Hamilton planted 38,000 trees. You know,
Okay.
38,000 trees. We're reforesting our gullies. We replaced all the lights in town, the halogen lights, with low wattage lights and everything that
Yeah.
emit less harmful rays and everything else, I suppose.
Yeah, and use less electricity as well, because
Yep.
you know when you start going to LED lights, you've got a different light
Yep.
For starters, but you've also got less power use.
Yep.
And
So we brought in there's the Loop car sharing here now. That's coming in. There's a policy where council staff can buy electric bikes and everything.
Oh, okay.
There's a subsidy given to them to do that, so they can get to and from work.
So we could see 12 or 13 councillors riding around.
Well, you could, and this is the Lime scooters around here.
It doesn't happen to be one in sight right now.
Guys ran past before, but I used those when I was in Brisbane. Fantastic, love them.
Yeah.
You know, and I was thinking myself actually going down to, I think it's PB Tech. They've got the one special down there. Buying one myself because they are really good fun.
Yeah.
But you have to be careful with them.
Yeah.
You know, I believe you should be wearing helmets, and you have to be careful because they're only allowed on footpaths and not allowed on bike lanes.
Yeah.
You know.
And I think that comes down to the responsibility of the people. We have to be responsible as users of these gizmos, and I use an electric bike, to be aware of where we're using them and think of the other people on the footpath or the road or whatever it is. So if you're zipping along on a scooter, be it a Lime scooter or one you bought, you need to keep in mind that there are other people using that footpath. And that comes down to personal responsibility.
Well, there's no one to follow up and police the regulations with them, you see, so council staff won't do it. Police are too busy to do it, and they're not classed as a motor vehicle, so you can't get done drink driving on them or anything else like that.
No, I think it's only if someone rides one down the road and becomes a nuisance to traffic that police get involved.
Yeah, if you're on the road with it and you're causing disturbance on the road, then there'll be certain stuff happen. But they've also had there's a regulation now that they are removed from the central city. I think it's by 7 or 8 at night. That's so drunk people don't get on them and hurt themselves or hurt other people or go out in front of traffic.
Okay, okay. My theory is that would at least thin out the herd a bit. But
two have appeared in Te Awamutu.
Te Awamutu?
Yeah, there's 2 being ridden around Te Awamutu.
They must have taken them on a bus.
Yes, or a truck or something. You know,
Yeah.
they'll take them there. But two appeared in Te Awamutu.
And a few have appeared in the river.
Yes, a few have appeared in the river.
There's a bit of you can't really give Hamiltonians anything nice because they ruin it.
That's why we're not allowed nice things.
But unfortunately, that's just a handful of people. There's probably less people causing a problem than there are councillors at the moment, right?
Oh, yeah.
Most of the people are either not using them or using them in a responsible manner.
We've had, I think there's been a report so far of one person breaking his leg on one. I'm not sure what happened there, but they're having a few chucked in the river. But I think all in all, so far, it's been pretty good, but it's a trial for us. So it'll come back to us where, it'll be the new council, where they'll decide whether the trial becomes permanent or we withdraw it. But
do you think that trial will also go a long way to shaping any potential regulations that might turn up to do with scooters in general? Because whether we have Lime scooters or not, people are going to buy them. So, and we don't want to restrict people because you want people to use alternative forms of transport. So you don't want to be too restrictive, but you want to counter the stupidity factor that occurs.
Yeah. So, that person just riding one past then, someone could have walked out of the cafe here and collected straight away.
Yeah. And there's plenty of space on the other side of these tables. So.
It will form, whatever comes back to council will form some sort of policy on them, because if there are a lot of accidents happening or whatever else, there have to be certain sorts of...
And we do currently have laws that, like, if one of those Lime scooters runs into you, then there are laws around dealing with that, because they hit you, and they have a responsibility not to cause an accident.
Yeah. Well, it's like we've got bylaws for bigging, we've got bylaws for the window washers. So the police don't actually go on the bylaw for window washers; they actually go on their own law, which is endangering traffic. So somebody who's window washing and standing in the middle of intimidate. If they're using intimidating behaviour to get money from people, or if they are running between traffic, New Zealand laws can deal with that. Either disorderly behaviour, threat intimidation under some Offences Act, or endangering traffic under the Transport Act.
So often we don't need extra laws or bylaws. We just need to apply the ones we've already got.
Bylaws are toothless. They really are. Like council staff don't have the facilities or the manpower to follow them up, and the police certainly haven't. Police can follow them up, but the police are just too busy. They can't follow up all the bylaws. Yeah,
unfortunately, we don't have enough police on the force to deal with those things as well as the more serious stuff, and they have to prioritise to some degree. Yeah. Talking about that, because law and order sort of came up. I've been talking to a few councillors about their bus service, and we've got a very good bus service at the moment, and it's getting better, and there's progress being done on that. But a friend of mine recently went back to being a bus driver. And the one thing that came up when we were talking that concerns him and me is safety of bus drivers.
Yep.
What can council do, and what will they do, and what would you like to see happen as a candidate to ensure that bus drivers are a lot safer? Because there are people who get angry on buses. There are people who try to rob bus drivers. There are people who assault them. Yep. Normally, the assault's because of an attempted robbery.
Yep.
Plus, then there's drunk people. There's other situations where people are just blatantly angry because a bus driver won't pull over and stop because it's not at the bus stop and they aren't legally allowed to anyway. These sorts of things.
Yeah, there've been a few of those, and I remember as a police officer dealing with a couple in Dinsdale where a bus driver was assaulted. For some unknown reason, just a passenger got on, was drunk, and then assaulted the bus driver. But that's something, because the buses are run by the regional council, so it's something we have to work in with the regional council. I'm not actually sure whether they've got a panic button on the buses or a camera. I think they may have
I think most of the buses now have cameras.
Yeah.
But that's still the thing is the safety of the bus drivers and being able to get something done straight away.
Yeah, they could have a screen around them, I suppose, but it's something we have to work with the regional council on because we do, Hamilton City Council does some stuff.
That's right, man. Hey, last you believe it go to something. We might just watching the shop all day. Dave's coming back. He's just doing a test ride on.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So he's
Yeah,
there,
cool.
but he's
Yep. Okay.
No worries.
Cool. Yeah, bus driver safety.
Yeah.
That the thing with that is the fact that we want more bus drivers. We're going to want more bus drivers over time, and yes, you can pay them a fairly decent wage.
Yep.
And I can, from what I found out from Dave yesterday, there has been a change to what bus drivers are being paid. It just needs the government to play their part that they promised to do, etc. But in the end, it comes down to safety. You're not going to do a job
If you're not safe.
especially in a situation like that. It's different than being a police officer or a soldier. That's completely different. Part of your job involves that danger. But as a bus driver, you expect to be able to get on your bus, take some tickets, take some money, drive around, come back and go home nice and safe. You don't expect to get attacked.
No, it's like taxi drivers. And you're right. When you're a police officer, you don't have to accept it, but you have to expect there's going to be some sort of physical altercation with people.
That's why there's more police officers to help you if there's a situation occurs.
It's like the army as well, like you said. You don't join the army to play tiddlywinks. And my son's in the army. I know that. They could be sent anywhere at any time.
Yeah.
And be right in harm's way. But prison officers, you've got security guards, and everything else have got personal alarm systems that they just have to push, and it'll. I think it's GPS, so as to where they are. But I think bus drivers certainly need that.
Well, that would be a start.
It would be a start. They certainly need that sort of thing because what they are doing is providing a service. They shouldn't be the subject of any sorts of assaults or anything like that.
If you got back into council, would you revisit this question in council and see if council could come up with some solution to at least start the process of making things, say, like personal alarms or something like that would make things a little bit safer?
Certainly. That's one of the things we should be talking about with the regional council, because staff that work for regional or staff that work for city council should be safe in their jobs.
Yeah.
Well, we should be doing as much as humanly possible.
Yeah.
You can never guarantee safety, but you do as much as humanly possible to keep it safe.
Because one of your things, through talking to you at the events and things like that, you have had concern about safety in general in Hamilton, and the whole concept of new developments being built in such a way, designed in such a way to incorporate a safer environment to encourage safe living and safe movement. Rather than relying completely on police, it's the design of buildings, the design of neighbourhoods, things like this that can influence a lot of those things.
So that's CPTED, Crime Prevention Through Environmental Design, short acronym. So in the past, developers have gone into certain suburbs or new areas and just, here's the streets, here's the sections, a couple of lights, and that's it, done, But
if you're lucky, the occasional zebra crossing.
Well, yeah, if you're lucky. But so crime prevention through environmental design actually brings in all sorts of concepts there. The sorts of trees you plant, the sorts of lighting you put in, the way the roads are configured so that emergency service vehicles can easy entry and egress from the place and everything else. Because a lot of the time when you build suburbs and they've got huge retaining walls, people can't be seen behind them, or there's no line of sight for people. It can be a bit of a mecca for criminals when they want to do nefarious behaviour. So the way you design things can actually enhance safety crime-wise, but it can enhance safety traffic-wise and footpath-wise. So dips in the footpath can be seen because of the better lighting. And so there's a lot of stuff to go in there.
And that can also come in handy when it comes to, especially with new neighbourhoods or redesigning where you're putting bus stops and things, and looking at both from a safety point of view for the bus driver, from the point of view of lighting and things like that, so that doesn't feel like a remote location for a bus stop, but also things like when the buses do pull over, especially in residential neighbourhoods, they're positioned in such a way that it doesn't run the risk of traffic problems or accidents or things like this.
Well, that's one thing that's been talked through with the new development at Peacock that's coming. So that's something that's going to have to happen. But Hamilton is one of the few cities in New Zealand that doesn't have a memorandum of understanding with the Property Council of New Zealand.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, so Property Council of New Zealand, look, not only they haven't got just developers or builders that are part of their group, it's builders, developers, it is rental house owners, it's all sorts that belong to Property Council of New Zealand. So we have been for a number, certainly 3 years I've been in, they've been Council and Property Council of New Zealand, or Hamilton City Council and Property Council of New Zealand have been butting heads with a lot of stuff, especially with development contributions and everything else.
Yep.
And in other cities, they don't usually, they do have problems, but they work it through because they've got a memorandum of understanding. So that's what we need here, so we can actually work together on things instead of always constantly fighting about DCs, about the way things are being developed. So if we had a memorandum of understanding, this is how we're going to do it. We'll work together on certain developments and everything else to make sure there's no surprises.
Yeah.
You know, so that
so there's something else that can be done to move Hamilton forward. And when you think of the way Hamilton's developing and growing, really it is something that needs to be looked at, because if you don't do it now, you've eventually probably got to do it, or you're going to create problems or have problems surface later on. You do these things now so that it sets you up for a good position, 10, 20 years down the track.
You have to work together on things. Otherwise, you've got Property Council New Zealand going one direction, Hamilton City Council going in another. Something happens, and they go, well, hang on, we didn't know about this. All the infill, around about 55% of all new building consents are infill here in Hamilton.
Okay.
So we're actually doing a lot more infill than green space. So, and we're getting 1 or 2 houses in the older areas bold, and then duplexes being put on, 8 to 12 duplexes, all in one area. And a lot of the time, the residents around those areas don't find out about this until building starts.
Oh, okay.
And then they find there's a humongous duplex being right next door to them, like in some of the heritage areas in Hamilton East, which is not good. Come on, guys, we have to work together to do this a little bit better, because we don't like our residents coming to us saying, we've got a surprise, and councils not knowing about it and going, I didn't know that was happening. And then you find out about these duplexes going up, and then there's big problems where you have to call meetings together and try and talk to the developers or builders and the other residents around, try and come to an amicable solution.
Because there are some parts of Hamilton that have a very specific character to them.
Yep.
You take Frankton with all the railway houses.
Yep.
And state houses and stuff like that. They're mostly railway houses over there. There's whole streets of those, and from memory, there's restrictions on what you can do to the outside of those.
Yep.
Because the character of I lived in one of those neighbourhoods for a while, and I thought, okay, and then I discovered that there are restrictions on what they can and can't do, and it's because of the character of the place.
Yep. So it's a lot. Yeah. So you've got the heritage areas where, if somebody builds a duplex of 8 to 10 block dwellings, it can severely impact on the heritage part of the, and we've had quite a few in Hamilton East come to us saying, we didn't know this was happening, we didn't know this was going to be built here. And same in Frankton, where the aesthetics really have to blend in with.
Yeah, and sometimes you can still put up a duplex as long as it doesn't go above a certain height, and it's designed to fit in with the character of the area. That still looks okay. Just an example, you could do in an area a 2-story version of a classic railway house that still doesn't look completely out of place, even though you know it's modern. It doesn't. It's not like a big square box sitting there.
And that's something we can work together on a little bit more, because the plans come through our planning division and consents, and they have a look at plans. They go, well, it fits within our policy and everything, so the consent is given. But then if you don't take into account the aesthetics of the outside of it, next week you got a block sitting there, and you've got all these character houses around in Frankton or in Hamilton East, and they're going,
looking up at it going,
they're blocking out sunlight for people. That's a big complaint, blocking out morning or evening sunlight because of the duplexes sitting up there now. So
it just makes for unhappy neighbourhood.
You don't want that.
You want neighbourhoods to come together, not to be fractured by one building that's there and splits the neighbourhood up. Right, before we finish this, if you get into council, whether it's mayor or just a councillor, what is the first thing on, or first couple of things on your agenda, one or two things on your agenda that you think really need to be looked at and dealt with,
Right.
be it continuation of something from the past that still needs to be moving forward, or something new that you've decided that we need to look at.
Right. Okay. So to begin with, the thing that has to continue, and it will continue, is the new Rototuna Village out at Rototuna, at North City Road. That will continue. So that that's the money's already been put aside for that. The other thing that has to be looked into is straight away. If we have the same mayor, unfortunately, it will continue. Is the Central City Park with the $7 million buildings. That will continue. If there's a new mayor, I think, and if I was mayor, or if we had the numbers, those have to be sold straight away, and that money reinvested in the city.
Okay.
So that's what I want to see done. I can see that being a huge money hole here, unfortunately. Now, it's a nice idea. If we were flush with money in Hamilton, it'd be nice to turn the city around to face the river and bowl all the buildings and everything. But we haven't got the money for that.
No.
And when you get into the engineering part of it and everything, because it's all sandbank, there's a lot of excavation work that was done just for Victoria and the river down here.
Yeah.
To continue that right through is going to be a mission and a half.
I didn't realise how soft that area was for building.
All sand. Okay. So that's going to be the same with the theatre. So when they bowl the old Hamilton hotel that's there and have a look and really get into it and start drilling, there may be some surprises. You never know, and you can come across a lot of surprises, especially on riverbanks and in Hamilton, because you don't know what was there in the past. It's all sand. You could start digging there, and all of a sudden you come across an archaeological area where there are either bones or whatever else. So as soon as you find bones in areas, you have to stop.
Yeah, and if you look at the history of Hamilton, it was populated long before Europeans came here, and even when Europeans came here, it effectively was two townships, one each side of the river, and how they lived then was different. If people go back and look at old photographs of Hamilton, it's completely different. There used to be a barge down there to get across from one side to the other before the first bridge went in, and things like that.
Well, even if you look back to the 50s and 60s, I've seen old aerial shots of Hamilton. Man, the difference, it's amazing. But you don't know what you're going to get on the riverbank until you start digging, and that's my concern, is you're going to find a lot of stuff. If you were to reinvest that money for those buildings into Hamilton, you could either put them to upgrading some of our playgrounds.
Yeah.
What I'd really like, and what I've really wanted to have for a few years now, is on the eastern side of the river from the old gunboat.
Oh yeah, yep.
North, there is no path; doesn't connect you up.
So no, and as a cyclist, I find that annoying because I'm used to riding on this side of the river. Yep. And you can get part way along there, and then it comes to an end.
Yep.
And I discovered the hard way after coming back from Ngaruahia, I'd stick to the other side of the river and got so far and realised, Well,
the wife and I bike from Flagstaff into town to the garden sometimes. It's on the side, but it's closed over here at the moment because of the earthworks.
Yeah.
But if we had, like when I lived in Brisbane, you had the whole entire loop of the river in Brisbane. It was biking and walking were actually separate. So you had the biking, skateboard, and electric scooter could go on one area, and it was walkers and runners on another one. So it was separated just by lines, but you were separated, and it was wide. I would love to have that here in Hamilton because it would promote fitness, cyclists, walkers, runners, joggers, and everything else could actually get out and actually do the loop of the river.
Yeah.
It'd be absolutely extraordinary.
Because that separation is something like that in Mission Bay in Auckland, where they've got the footpaths actually got a line down the middle of it, so that the cyclists can stay on one bit and everyone else is on the other bit, which is actually quite a good idea.
I'd love to see the path continue on the eastern side, so you can right up, so you could actually go right down to the gardens and right back, and you wouldn't have to go on the main roads at all if you're on bike. You could do the whole river, and get to most places, and I think that would safety-wise.
Sort of like the Wairiri Drive for cycling. Effectively. Because I know I do use the river ride and the rail trail as connectors to different places. If I'm going way over into Dinsdale and places like that, I'll often come through Norriswood Park and catch the rail trail and follow all the way through to a given point, then off. I've been to Bunnings a few times, and instead of going down the main road, I've followed the river and then come through the suburbs to get to Bunnings. Just because I enjoy the ride more, especially during summer. You're going to somewhere to do something, but you might as well enjoy the ride while you're getting there.
Oh, it's nothing like riding or walking down by the river or running, and you could hold the Hamilton half marathon or whatever down there. You could do a loop of the river. Beautiful. Instead of at the moment it's on the roads and everything and running around. Easier. We're not even using our biggest asset in the city, which is our river. Not using it.
And talking about events, just before we finish this, we've got Garden Place here, just around the corner from where we're sitting right now. Do you think council could do more to promote having events here? Like today, the All Blacks have been in there having a barbecue for people, but do you think there is ways the council could encourage people to use that more? I mean, like fairs, food festivals, things like this, like mini versions of either Frankton Market or something like that during the week, and even musicians, performers, things like this, to make it more of a vibrant centre.
Yeah. Well, we do, and we are. Like instead of the $3 million upgrade that they were looking for, which we voted down, which is good. Most of the public were against that. We still we've given $300,000 to Hamilton Central Business Association to do promotion stuff. Garden Place and Victoria and the River, Embassy Park. So that's what they've been doing. They've been doing little movie nights. There are all sorts of events that happen here. And summertime, you'll see beanbags and everything out during the summer months for people to sit and relax and read. You've got the likes of Creative Waikato and Nancy Cager that run events all by themselves. Without Hamilton funding, Hamilton City funding. They actually pull on themselves. And you've got the other special events that happen, like they have the ice rink down there.
They do that every year.
When you have sporting events like the All Blacks and the Sevens, there's always stuff happening there. So I think we've come to some sort of compromise there with the $300,000 for the Central Business Association to put events on. That's over 3 years, so it's $100,000 a year.
I personally think that's better spending of money than $3 million to refurbish it. Spending the money to encourage the use of it, because we are becoming a bit of a destination place. People come to Hamilton now.
Oh, it's going ahead.
We've got a number of things going. So if people come here and are staying in accommodation in the central city, knowing that they can go out to, especially during summer, that they can go to something in the central city while they're staying here, instead of sitting in the hotel room all the time.
Well, the big thing we're missing out on, we haven't got enough accommodation in Hamilton. So there's a lot of events that people that want to hold events and conferences and everything at Claudelands, the city are actually turning away because there's not enough accommodation. There was a big one we turned away not so long ago, and it was going to be huge, but we didn't have the accommodation in the city to accommodate all the people. So we are missing a couple of big hotels. We'd really like to have a couple of big hotels in Hamilton, because and these are not just New Zealand conferences, these are international conferences that are coming from the States and everything to here, and they've inquired about Claudelands, and I said, it's perfect, and then they look at the accommodation, sorry, not enough accommodation. So we really need some big hotels here. If we had some big hotels, a couple of the big hotels, we'd attract a lot more here. Yeah,
and I think we're at that stage where Hamilton's growing enough to be able to be of interest to host these things. Like often concerts go Auckland, Christchurch, Wellington. We've had a few make a detour and stop in at Hamilton every now and again, and we're in a position where that can start to get more frequent. But again, we do need the accommodation, and we're right on that edge where we need the accommodation for those things. But is it going to be used at other parts of the year when there isn't something on?
Yeah.
And I think it's one of those things that it requires some crowd to take a bit of a chance to go, okay, we'll put something big in here, knowing that in a few years it will pay off because the events will come here. We've got the facilities for the events.
Well, we're not the Sleepy Hollow we used to be. Like when I first came to Hamilton in 1992, The only place you could go get something to eat after hours was the McDonald's in the old.
Down on the
corner. Yeah, Gordon's Bridge.
Or beef eaters up the other end. Beef eaters was always open.
Everything else was closed. There was nothing going on.
Yeah.
But the city has progressed that much, and actually back in '92, the population was only 88,000 people here then. We're 170,000 people now, so we've almost doubled. Yeah,
well, when I came here in '87, it was around about 60,000.
Yeah.
Right. And when I found that out, I was quite surprised that it was that small back then, because before moving to Hamilton, I remember as a kid living in Te Kuiti, we used to think Hamilton was the big city.
Yeah.
And like Auckland was just mind-blowingly large.
Yep.
But Hamilton was the big city we used to go to from time to time. And then I shifted to Hamilton, and it still felt big at 60,000. But looking back at where we are now, we're knocking on the door of 170 up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We are.
It's only a couple more years, and we'll have hit 3 times the number when I shifted here.
Well, we're having, apparently, the statistics tell us we're having a busload. So 40 people arrive in Hamilton each week to live here.
Really?
Yep.
To live?
Yep. And that's the problem we're facing at the moment with housing, you see.
Yeah.
So there's 40 people a week arriving in Hamilton. That's
There's
what we're told.
There's not 40 houses go up a week.
No. So, we've got accommodation shortages in Hamilton. And unfortunately, our house prices in Hamilton are some of the least affordable in New Zealand as well. Third least affordable in New Zealand, Hamilton. So we're right up there. And then the ANZ report this morning said that house prices are about to take off again. So it's not, it's not affordable. It's not affordable.
And even worse than that is the lack of rental accommodation, because if you can't find somewhere to buy, a lot of people will be okay with renting until they can find somewhere to buy. If they can find somewhere decent to rent, that's not a crazy price.
Because it's competitive.
That's the reality of life now is you may not buy a home straight away, but you may end up renting for some period.
I feel really sorry for those sort of people that are coming to Hamilton or moving out of parents' houses, whatever, and trying to find accommodation because it's competitive.
Yeah.
You see a rental in the newspaper, whatever else, or at one of the rental agencies, and you go for it. Guarantee you're not the only person. There's probably another 15 or 20 people going to the same place.
I had that reality slap in the face earlier this year when I had to shift out of where I was, and I'd been there for 13 years. And I got quite a surprise when not only the number of people turning up to view places, but the whole procedure had changed. Back when I got the places in before, you just turn up, you look at the place, you had a printout of place, you go around, you have a look at them, and you have a look through it, and data. Oh yeah, okay, I'll take that one, and that's it.
Yep.
I got a bit of a shock to discover it to come up with a couple of references and blah 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 blah, and you applied for the place, and
credit
it was
checks
like
and all sorts.
And it wasn't too big an issue for me because I must admit I had a bit of fun with that when it came to the references thing, because I thought, oh, why not? Let's have a bit of. Well, I knew a real estate agent that worked for the crowd, the place I'm in now, as a rental reference, and I decided I'd put down our current mayor and a couple of other politicians as character references.
Well, you know Andrew that well.
It was quite funny because I knew that if Andrew was rung up and they gave him my name, I had confidence that he wouldn't have anything bad to say about me, right? And it was quite funny because I also gave one of our MPs, right? And they thought I was yanking their chain, so they rang the first one and got a glowing reference, so it didn't bother ringing. And I was just being a smart ass doing that because I had confidence that it wasn't going to go bad for me.
Yeah.
But I just thought I'd have a bit of fun because I knew they'd recognise the names when they looked at them, you see.
Oh, good.
And it wasn't exactly what they expected. Even the agent said, he said, when I looked at those names, he said, it wasn't what I expected after meeting you. He said, I did. But when he found out why I know all these different people, he said, I learned something about you I didn't know before. So I think that's an area that we need to look at, that especially with infill housing, we at least need a lot more rental accommodation, if nothing else. Because some people might come to Hamilton for 5 or 6 years, then move on. We've got people coming from university to work who, once they've done the university life and are working, they're more likely to want their own place. They're not likely to be still keen on living in a house with 5 others.
Well, Hamilton's
they're not students anymore.
Yeah, Hamilton's pretty transient by nature. There's a lot of people move in, move out, move in, move out, and you've got the university, people move in, go, get their graduation and get employment in other places or overseas. One of my boys moved to Linton. As soon as he got in the army, bang, gone to Linton. The other stepson, he's just moved to Melbourne to get a job over there, and his girlfriend. So, in Hamilton. So you get a lot of younger people moving out of Hamilton to try and find employment.
But at the same time, Hamilton's the sort of place that we're now attracting, and so we're in the perfect place to be the head office for a number of businesses that otherwise would have been in Auckland. That go Auckland traffic, moving people around. Maybe we can go outside of Auckland for our head office.
Well, that's one thing where we are not delivering on as much as we should, and that's industrial sites that people move into. That's one negative here at the moment. We haven't got enough industrial, because there are some places in Auckland that would love to come here, but they just haven't got the space. So that's something we really have to work on.
And it's like most things. Even though we're inside New Zealand, we do, to some degree, rely on exporting something outside of our area. And that's either knowledge, expertise, or production of something that we can sell to people from outside of Hamilton and bring money into Hamilton.
Good, mate.
And also bring jobs into Hamilton and things like that. I think
we're in the Golden Triangle, and you've got the Tainui inland port being built. That's going to be huge for us. We've got, and that's not the only inland port. We've got that one. We've got the one being built, and it's just outside of Hamilton, but it's past the Horitu milk factory. And we've got
it's not the other side of the Bombay, so it still counts as being
still
close
in
to
the
Hamilton.
Waikato. It's in the Waikato. But and we've also got the inland port in the bypass there in Frankton. The rail yards. So we've got the other one there. So we're doing okay, but. And the city is growing hugely. Like I said, we're not the small cow town that we used to be.
But we do need to think carefully about what we're going to do with Hamilton and where Hamilton's going. Therefore, we do need to think very carefully about who we have on council and who we have as mayor. Not just for this term, but for terms after that.
It's planning, because we have to work in really closely with district council, Waipa, and everything. All our neighbouring councils we have to work in with. Because whatever we do in Hamilton affects the Waikato, and whatever happens in Waikato affects Hamilton. So we have to work together, and that hasn't been happening in some cases. So we really have to work on that relationship.
And that's something I think voters need to keep in mind. Do the research, think about who you're voting in, and make a very good and well-informed decision, and look at not just who you want in today, but who you want in for not just the rest of this term, but where you want Hamilton to go. And so, are the councillors you vote for next month, next month I think it ends, isn't it? Next month, are they going to take Hamilton in the direction you want it to go? And if they do, vote for them. If they aren't, don't vote for them.
See, we've got a lot of enough building going on at the moment, and ideas coming through with the theatre and everything else we've got going on to last a few years at the moment. The thing we do not need is any more vanity projects or frivolous ideas that are going to absolutely, rob the residents of Hamilton of rate money. Because if we keep going like we are at the moment, spending on things like a drunken sailor, I've heard someone say before, there's going to be another rates increase. Don't want that, And the ratepayers here are maxed out at the moment. The developers are maxed out with their development contributions as well. We have to find alternative sources, and that's not a regional fuel tax either. Don't believe in that.
So we need to sort of reduce the cost to the ratepayer, or stop the cost to the ratepayer from going up for a while, and not get too excited about spending money we don't need to for a wee while, so that Hamilton stabilises and we get the people coming into Hamilton that enable us to go to the next step.
Yeah, consolidate, because we can't have a build it and they will come attitude. If we do that, we're going to run ourselves into deep carcass.
Yeah.
We're going to be really deep into it if we keep doing that. Okay, we'll build this. They have that sort of mentality in Queensland, Australia, and they're broke. We'll build a new stadium, we'll build this, we'll build that. You just can't keep doing that.
You can sort of do one now and again, or for instance, like with the bus system, you can build a good bus system on the idea that people will use it over time once they can rely on it.
Yeah.
But you need to make that good, and that comes back to what we were talking about before. A good bus system with good wages and good safety for the drivers gives you a good public transport system. Once we've got a good public transport system, then more people are using it and wanting to be here, and then we can go, we can do another project that's going to benefit Hamilton in some way.
Yeah, well, for the community to be thriving and, for people to be happy in the community, they have to feel safe. That's one of the main things. If you don't have people feeling safe in the community, to live in their houses feeling safe, or to walk the streets feeling safe, you haven't got a happy community. We have to work on that, and we are working on that slowly with the police to get a bit more. We have got a lot more cooperation with the police. We need to get more. We
need to think of other ways to create that safety, and not just rely on constantly putting more and more police into place, because the police force is a limited resource, and government has limited funding for that. And if we can do things that reduce crime and increase safety without having to increase police force, then we start to make progress.
Like a connected community make for a safer community. So if you know your neighbours, and a lot of people don't these days, they come home after work or whatever, and they go inside their house, shut the door, and that's it. Closed off to everybody else. You don't know your neighbours. And people can live for years and not know who the next person is over their fence. So you really have to get out and know people, because that's when you start making inroads on safety in your street.
Yeah.
Because you know who lives in your street then. If you go behind your closed door at night time, see you later, you don't know who lives in your street. If you saw somebody suspicious wandering around,
that's the interesting thing with where I shifted to. I found it a lot better than where I was, because I'm more in touch with the people around me, like the block of 5 that I'm in.
Yeah.
We all know each other.
Yeah.
We keep an eye out for things. We are reasonably quick if something happens on the street to take action by calling the police if it looks like it's a break-in or whatever, with the idea of giving a signal to anyone who's up to no good. This is not a good place to hang out. If you want to do bad, go somewhere else. And if enough parts of the community do that, eventually those people are up to no good get the message that maybe they need to do something else.
Yeah.
Oh, well, thanks very much for your time.
Thanks,
and good
Lars.
luck in the race.
Right.
It's going to be an interesting one.
It is, yeah.